Horrible, Mr. Goat. Horrible. You gotta just hit it straight down from there, right? There's no way to create that. That is the most impossible angle I've ever seen created on a tennis court by a professional. Today on Coffee Break Tennis, Novak Djokovic is up against it. I'm not talking about Nishikori. That was a good win for Novak, but he's got a lot of points on the board that could come off, possibly placing him fairly soon outside of the top 100. Dominic Thiem and Juan Martín del Potro talk about who could stop Rafa on clay this year. We'll get into that a little bit. We'll also talk about Madrid itself. It seems that the tournament's future could be in doubt. Will there be a Madrid in a few years? We'll talk about that. We also got a little bit of news out there on Rafa. Of course, he's the king of clay. This is the clay season. There's going to be a lot of stuff about Rafa. Let's get into it. All right, so first up, let's talk Novak Djokovic. We're going to look at the match, look at some of the highlights, just so you could see, if you didn't watch the match for yourself, what's going on with Nole. But first, let's talk about his rankings predicament. So put this up on the screen, Mr. Goat, if you're not too busy napping in there. Oh, there you are. You know what, Mr. Goat? You know what? I'll put this one on the screen. So here in Madrid, Novak Djokovic has 360 points on the board. He will have to get back to the semifinals. Before we look at the rest, okay, let's just look at the rest. In Rome, Novak Djokovic, finalist last year, 600 points to defend. Quarterfinals at the Roland Garros, 360 there. 250 in Eastbourne. Remember, Novak played this smaller, prestigious grass court tournament, Eastbourne, last year. It's right before Wimbledon, days before Wimbledon it wraps up. Most top players who have a shot at winning Wimbledon or going deep in Wimbledon, they skip this one to rest. Novak didn't. He played 250 points there. Of course, 360 points. Add it all up, it's almost 2,000 points. If Novak, who only has 2,220 points, were to lose so many points, obviously, that's a lot. He'd be outside of the top 100 by the end of Wimbledon. Two ways to look at this. A lot of people will say, oh, well, there's a lot of opportunity here for him to go deeper in some of these tournaments like Roland Garros or Wimbledon. We'll see. Who expects Djokovic to go deeper than quarterfinals at a major right now? So let's just do things one at a time here. Let's look at Madrid. Speaking of Madrid, let's look at the draw first. But no, let's look at this. Ollie Payton over in the UK. Ollie Payton, he sent me this on the Twitters. Again, you can follow me at CoffeeBreak10s, TENS, on the Twitters. This is the supercomputer out in Australia. They make predictions. They're mostly wrong this year, but they did predict Roger Federer to win in Australia, and of course he did. They predict at Madrid, 44% chance for Rafa, the king of clay, and not much else for anyone else. But Djokovic, second place there with 13, Delpo 8.6, Zverev 6.9. Let's look at the draw and see what has to happen for this to happen. So, of course, Novak Djokovic has a nightmare draw here with the first round, but he wins, as we know. Nishikori out of the way, so that's good. The next big name that Novak Djokovic could run into would be David Goffin, cousin Fed, as we affectionately refer to him. Hyun Chung is in there as well. He's not seeded here, but we all know what Chung can do. The hero of the Australian Open, of course. Grigor Dimitrov, grown-up Fed, Tennis Sandgren, Chapo, Benoit Paire. Of course, I'm doing the Benoit Paire challenge. Who will shave first, me or Benoit Paire? Please comment below if Benoit Paire shaves and I don't notice it, because I can't wait to shave this off of my face. Milos Raonic is in there, who actually looked pretty good. You know, these big guys with giant serves can do well on clay, as we've seen in the past. So watch out for Raonic. I mean, he's been dealing with injuries as usual, but we'll see what he can do here. This draw isn't so bad. The main thing was Nishikori. He's over that hurdle. If we go to the semifinals, what could we see? Isner, Alexander Zverev, of course, the hero of Barcelona, Tsitsipas. Stefanos Tsitsipas is there as well. Who we got? Fernando Verdasco, Fabio Fognini, Jack Sock. Okay, nothing too crazy over there. So this is actually doable for Djokovic, I think. How have we seen Djokovic go out in these previous clay court tournaments that he played in? And the trick is that he looks good, but then he runs out of gas. A lot of people wouldn't blame you to think a little bit fortunate for Novak that Nishikori couldn't find a way to get into that third set, because we all know how good Nishikori is in those third sets. So Djokovic, would he have run out of gas today if he had to play a third set against Nishikori? I don't know. We open our highlights with this amazing get from Nishikori. Djokovic hits the net cord. Look at this. At 2-all, Djokovic is broken at love, and things are looking bad. Here's what it looked like. But Novak Djokovic breaks right back. Jimmy Arias on the call points out that whoever can clean up some of the unforced errors in this match is going to win this thing, and Novak Djokovic is the one to play more steady from here on out. In the second set, Novak continues the steady play, looking more and more like the Novak Djokovic we all remember. And of course, the biggest moment in the second set is when this happens. But the best part of all, me and Mr. Goat thing, right, Mr. Goat? Is after Novak Djokovic misses that smash, everyone in the crowd sees an opportunity for Nishikori to get a very similar smash not long after. The whole crowd thinks he's going to miss it. Let's see what happens. Of course he doesn't miss it. There's no way. Two professional players who've been to the top or close to it for Nishikori could miss such an easy smash twice in one match. Just to further illustrate how good of a win this was for Djokovic, let's look at the Madrid resume for Nishikori. So 2014, many people remember this. Nishikori was up a set, and I think it was a 4-1 or 4-2. He's just beating the heck out of Rafa, and then he gets injured mid-match, and Rafa comes back and wins that third set retirement versus Nadal. 2015-2016, he's a semifinalist. He's got a record of 4-4 against top 10 players here. Defeated Roger in 2013. Overall match record in Madrid, 16-5. So Nishikori does pretty well in Madrid. Big win for Djokovic. And Djokovic has a new ally. That's right. You guys might know him as Gebhard Grich. I know him as the evil genius that we've always seen sitting in Novak Djokovic's box. Grich, who had worked from 2009 to 2017 as a fitness trainer, is back with the Serbian last month. Interviewed by Die Presse, he said Novak is going through a very difficult situation. If I can help him, then I would like to. We have always been a great team. Emotionally, Novak is being helped by the fact that we are on court with him again. He knows how we work exactly. Physiotherapist Milan Amonovic and coach Boris Becker are the only pieces missing. Remember, hashtag bring back Becker, BBBB. A lot of people seem to like that idea. Anyway, so he was asked, what do you think about Boris Becker? You know, we almost got this whole team back together, huh? Grich said that the question may come later. Boris has always been very good in the analysis and unbelievably competitive. Looking back at how they had split the 61-year-old Grich added, it's a tough one. Novak ended the cooperation 1 year ago. He didn't really want to win. He didn't practice hard enough, but to be at the top, everything has to be right. That was a little interesting there at the end. Mr. Djokovic wasn't trying hard enough, practicing hard enough, not wanting it is bad. Many people have questioned Djokovic's motivation as part of his struggles since 2016. So I thought it was interesting to hear it from someone so close to Djokovic right there. And he's back on the team. It's not like, doesn't have to worry about his paycheck anymore. Anyway, so the Novak team is getting back together. Comment below. Curious to hear what everyone thinks about the odds of seeing the entire team come back together. The physiotherapist, and of course, Boris Becker. Hashtag BBBB. All right, so next up, let's get into some Rafa Nadal news. This interests me very much. So this is from tennis.com. The headline is, coverage begins on Tennis Channel. All they do is plug. All they do is promote. Can't blame him. It's a business. Rafa Nadal has already been dominating on clay this season. Last year, Rafa Nadal became the first player in open air to win the same tour event 10 times. La décima. Now we're going for la undécima. And of course, can't wait to see la fedécima coming up pretty soon as well. But that's grass court season. Let's stick here with clay. This article was titled, Winning the Madrid-Rome Double is Tough, but it can be done. It was something like that. Of course, when I print it, Tennis Channel has this shameless advertising on top. where they got rid of the headline and replaced it with coverage begins on Tennis Channel and Tennis Channel Plus on Sunday. Yes, he's achieved the Madrid-Rome double twice before, in 2010 and 2013. Yes, Rafa did go on to win the French Open both of those years, but it just seems like a lot of stuff, right? We were talking about Eastbourne. Novak Djokovic goes and wins Eastbourne right before Wimbledon starts, a day before Wimbledon starts. And what did that do for him? It gave him 250 points to help him stay alive this time of year now. But did it really help? Usually it's good to get a little rest right before the big tournament. So I've always believed that it's kind of a good thing when Rafa pulls out of one of these clay tournaments or loses a little bit early like we saw him do against Dominic Thiem last year in Rome, because why do you want to be so busy running around playing all this tennis right before the biggest, most important tournament of the entire year? Wimbledon for Roger, and of course the French for Rafa. This is what it's all about. Their whole year, well, obviously Rafa has other priorities in the year, but this is priority number one. So definitely this quarter of the year, all the preparation is about win the French Open. He doesn't really care. I mean, yeah, it's nice to win Monte Carlo in 11th time, but if you had to choose between that and another French Open, I think everyone knows what we're going to choose. So in 2010, I got to point out that Rafa skipped Barcelona. He skipped it. So even Rafa, and he cited fatigue, winning all these tournaments, running around all over the place. He skipped one. So will Rafa skip Rome? Rafa's clearly going to play in Madrid. Rafa has never won all of these tournaments, unless, comment below if I'm wrong, but I don't recall. If he's only done it 2010, 2013, 2013, Rafa does win in Barcelona, but he loses to Djokovic in the final of Monte Carlo. So if Rafa does go for it, when he's had a lot of injuries in the last half a year, right? If he does go for all these tournaments, doesn't pull out of Rome, doesn't lose early here in Madrid, doesn't lose early in Rome, imagine if he wins all of it. Could that be a reason why he might run out of gas down the stretch at the French Open? I don't know, but in a year where no one thinks anyone can stop Rafa on clay, I think maybe this is the answer. If anything could go wrong for Rafa, what if he wins all these tournaments back to back to back to back with no extra rest in between? No rest hardly at all, really. What if that causes his downfall? Nadal says himself at the bottom of this article, I was patient, I had the right attitude, coming to try and reach the clay season as fit as possible. The world number one. Coming into the clay, swing with 4 matches, not ideal preparation. Honestly, I feel like I'm playing well. If my body responds, I win the matches. I think I'm ready. Yeah, obviously, if the body responds, he'll be ready. But, as he said, only 4 matches coming into this clay swing. And then all of a sudden he's going to play, how many matches is it? Add it all up. What is it, like 20 matches you have to win Monte Carlo, Barcelona, Madrid, and Rome? Is it 20 matches? I think it's 5 for a seeded player at those tournaments. Anyways, 20-something matches, more than, or 5 times the amount of matches he's played in the year leading up to the clay. Maybe, just maybe, that could be the one risk for Rafa. Speaking of risk, Madrid Open faces an uncertain future as Nadal takes the diplomatic route. The top of the story reads Madrid in bold, because this is very bold. In 5 years' time, the Madrid Open could become extinct amid ongoing discussion about the future of the tournament beyond 2021. Doesn't sound as cool the way that sentence ends. As it currently stands, there are no agreements in place with the local council concerning the future of the event. This is despite the economic benefits it has had on the city. Last year, more than 260,000 people attended the tournament. During that same year, it also generated 130 million and a half euros in advertising value, 27.8% rise compared to 2016. Tiriac added, I do not understand that there are people who do not want it here when the tournament earns money from the city, and for Spain, the city does not lose money, it earns money. Quite a pickle to Tiriac. I must ensure that the tournament continues either here or elsewhere. Ooh, a little threatening, Tiriac added. So a lot of people thought that Rafa was going to come in and say, we've got to keep the tournament here in Madrid. There's so much history here. I love playing here. But he didn't. As it says in the top, he took a diplomatic route, which means, beating around the bush. So here is Nadal being diplomatic. I think that the town hall will have to make the decision. It's not ours to make. It will be the town hall who decide if they want to continue the bet on a tournament of this size or if they prefer to invest in something else. Or if they don't prefer to bet on a sport like this. What does that mean? Bet on a sport like this. Then it gets even more confusing with Nadal adding, I think we have a great tournament here in Spain, one of the highest levels, a really high-level tournament. It's true that it's also one of the sports that there are a lot of people watching us. It's very difficult to be able to achieve a tournament like this one here because there are a limited number of them. Not sure what that meant. You know, when they translate this stuff into English. So, of course, we'll see how that plays out. We saw something kind of similar in Miami. You got local politics getting involved. I'm guessing in Madrid, I don't know anything more than what I just read for you in that article. It didn't give us a whole lot of information. The main story there was just Nadal didn't help them out the way they thought could happen. So what's going to happen in Madrid? Is it going to be gone in 5 years' time? Obviously, Ion Teriak's saying we're going to do the tournament somewhere. But what if they lost that Masters 1000 status somehow? I don't know if that's a factor. If anyone knows more about this, please comment below. But I will say this. I know a lot of us tennis people, even Fed heads mostly, but even people who don't think about Roger Federer probably would say, hey, let's get rid of one of these clay masters like Madrid, downgrade them to a 500 or something, and let's get a Masters 1000 on grass. Maybe one in Germany. Dominic Thiem insists a group of players can beat Rafa in Madrid. Only one problem. He doesn't name any of them. The world number one is on a 19-match winning streak since Thiem beat him in Rome last year, wrapping up titles at Roland Garros, Monte Carlo, Barcelona. It's one of the most difficult things in sport to do, but on a good day for some players, I think it's possible, says an optimistic Dominic Thiem from Österreich, of course. Especially here in Madrid and Rome, I think the chances are the highest out of all the clay tournaments. I think here and in Rome, it's the most difficult for Rafa. Of course, he's still playing amazing also in these tournaments, but for the other players, it's getting a little bit easier because it's faster and there's a higher bounce. Now, remember, Rafa sure doesn't know how to use that high bounce to his advantage, especially against guys with one-handed backhands. Dominic Thiem should know that. But faster court favors some guys with firepower. Grigor Dimitrov is another guy who's happy to be playing Madrid because it plays faster there, and he thinks he's got a chance. So, how can these players do it? Dominic Thiem was asked. You have to be on fire from the first moment on. If you don't do that, it happens like what happened to me in Monte Carlo. He just kills you, He's right. Del Potro adds into that. Physically, you must be 100% all the time. But the funny thing to me is in that article, Dominic Thiem says, basically, unfortunately, I just crumpled it up, but it says something in there where he says, basically, if everything goes like normal, Rafa, of course, will win here, despite saying that some of us have a chance. Del Potro throws in with something very similar. The opponent to beat is Rafa Nadal. He is still being the king of clay. We are trying to beat him into doing well. If Rafa keeps winning, I think it is normal. So, again, if everything goes as normal, of course, Rafa will win here. If we do good results, playing against him could be a surprise. We are looking forward to surprising him. I like that, Dolpo. Rafa's playing so good, but other guys have chances to beat him. We already made in the past, so we can repeat this year. All right, so Del Potro likes his chances. I know many of you think Del Potro is the one. I know many of you think no one can beat Rafa except Novak Djokovic. All right, that's it. If you enjoyed the show today, make sure you smash that subscribe button or give us a little backwards volley or give us a little touch volley on the thumbs up like button. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. One quick thing before we go. This guy, Adartsev, followed me. I think he's Bulgarian or Russian. He followed me on the Instagram. You can too, at Coffee Break Tennis. And I went through his pictures. I always check people to make sure they're real people when they follow me, see if I'll follow them back. And I thought this was a great photograph that he took. Roger spotted training in Dubai with a sleeveless shirt. I'll put that up because many of you will want to see that. Don't forget to watch Juan Martín Del Potro's debut tomorrow. I believe we also will get to see Grigor Dimitrov tomorrow. As I said earlier, the court plays a little faster. These guys have a better chance here. Very interesting to see what they do. Of course, my pick to win it all, Rafa. We'll see you on Thursday morning. I'm out of here. See ya!